I gotta do this. I gotta open up Chrome. Forgot I
Oh
got
yeah, you gotta do all this stuff.
the.
hmm Dude, there's this one website that I found, and it looks like it was so cool. I'm gonna pull it up again. Ah,
For
um,
the NBA.
yeah. Oh, I need to find it.
I'm finding a lot of cool like betting sites and stuff now working at Bet365. All these people
Oh
that I
yeah.
all these people that I work with are like betting professionals, bro. Like there's one dude, one coworker who I work with who is limited like on every single sports, but he can only place $1 bets on every book because he's just that good.
Oh, this site already get taken down?
What?
No, come on.
Wait, is this like for watching NBA or like a?
No, no, it's like a site that has stats that you can look up and
Hmm.
stuff. I can't reach it. It said this site can't be reached.
Man, what? Dude, it sucks like the fucking hammer the NBA is putting down on the illegal sites. There's still a couple that are out there, but like all the classic like typical sites I would be using are all like they don't work.
I think it's only a mobile site right now, that's why. Okay, I got it on my phone, so it's fine. But hey, it gives you like stats. I don't remember like, but basically you can get like lineups and matchup data really really easily and quickly.
Oh, that's fine.
So I was using it with like the Nuggets and stuff. But okay, I guess we can get going on it now. Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of the Sideline. I think this is our first one over a month. I think first
Oh
episode in over
man,
a month.
well over, yeah, yeah,
It has been
well
quite
over.
some
Well, I'm
time.
trying to. When was the Luca trade? That was like,
It was like beginning of February, and I
yeah.
remember we didn't do anything for that because we couldn't do anything for that, and I don't remember. I we might have done something like for the Broncos, and like maybe right after that, after the
We
playoffs.
But I don't think we talked about like moves the Nuggets could make at the deadline, right? Because that would have been around at the same
No,
time.
no, they didn't. We didn't. So it has been a lot. We've missed a lot. It's a lot to talk about. But I guess there isn't that much to talk about because they didn't make any moves anyway. This is going to be an NBA Nuggets central episode. Um, yeah, there's not a lot to talk about because they didn't do anything. No extra moves were made. The team they're the same. The only thing that has happened has been some injuries. But they're putting it together. They have looked much better since the calendar has turned. They've had some bad losses, mixed in. Obviously, the Wizards loss is the one that sticks out. The Bulls loss is the one that sticks out. But since those two games, they have been relatively okay. Uh, but it still feels off. I know you kind of feel that way too. It doesn't feel how it should.
No, it doesn't. Specifically because they outside of the Detroit Pistons last night, I looked through the entire Nuggets schedule to see if they've like won a game this year against a championship contending team, and I don't think they have. Against a team like the Lakers, the Thunder, the Cavs, or the Celtics. I don't think they've beat one of those teams yet this season. Um,
They beat the Thunder early.
you're
Like
right. You're
that, I
right.
mean that was so early, like because they didn't have Hartenstein. It was
Yeah.
still Chet, like they were still figuring it out. Because that was when Russ had like 39 and 9 or
Oh,
something.
right,
Like he
right,
he went
right.
off. They didn't have Murray or Gordon. Uh, but that's the only one. That's the only game that they've won. They
Yeah,
haven't beaten
very,
them.
very early. But like, I guess it's just recently they've had chances. They've had a chance to beat the Lakers. They've had a chance to beat Milwaukee, to beat the Celtics. But it's just so this offense that is like the greatest offense of all time, statistically with the offensive rating, all that type of stuff. It's just like a struggle when it goes against these contending teams. It's just like a slog. I mean, the way that the Lakers and the Celtics specifically like guarded Jokic and guarded the Nuggets, um, like I feel like it's gonna. I don't know how the Nuggets are gonna adjust to that, where they're just taking away cutters, letting Christian Brown and Russell Westbrook or Aaron Gordon shoot the three, literally letting that happen and just denying all cuts from Brown, from Westbrook, from Porter, um, and then not letting Jokic score one on one because you have another extra body there. Like the Lakers and the Celtics, I feel like just sent so many bodies at Jokic, and the lack of shooting, man, like just imagine in this Celtics game if Westbrook was KCP out there or Bruce Brown or someone that could just knock down a corner three. It would have been way different. I so yeah, they have been winning a lot, recently, but against really bad teams. Their impressive wins came at Indiana and at Detroit, but again, I like to see them beat better teams than that.
Yeah. No, that's been my biggest concern the entire year. Because they've been winning the games they're supposed to. Every team is gonna have games where they lose when they're not supposed to, right? OKC just had one against Minnesota. They're up 25, second night of a back-to-back. Minnesota was missing a lot of players and they choked it away and they lost. That's a bad loss for OKC. They should have had that. Every team has those. So the Pelican or the Bulls and those Wizards losses earlier in the year, that happens. But I'm right with you. They have not beaten an actual good team since the season has become real, right? Since the calendar turned, they haven't beaten an actual team yet. Especially they haven't beaten that many good teams on the road. I agree that those Pacers and Pistons wins were good wins, right? Like we've been looking for good wins from this team. Those are good wins. But they haven't really had any actual good wins and good performances on the road. I mean, against Boston, it's the end of a long East Coast road trip. It's an early game. I mean, it's 11 a.m. tip for us and 1 p.m. tip for them. It's an early tip. It took a while for them to get into the game, and especially coming off of a game. Like I said, that was a game that Boston shouldn't have lost against Cleveland at home, up 20 points, and they choke it away. So obviously they're going to come out much more aggressive, but it still doesn't feel very good. And I am completely with you on the offense, right? The offense, I think when it comes down to it, I saw it against the Bucks too. Oh, I'm gonna have to sneeze real quick. Oh my god, that was building for 3 minutes. I saw it against the Bucks too. They when it comes down to it, when teams really come down to it, they can't shoot, they can't defend, and they don't have the energy to keep up with teams
Right.
at a high enough level. And I don't know if that's going to change in a playoff series, but it's really weird. They can't do it, and it doesn't make any sense because they're not old. Like the one the one guy who plays who's over 30 uh, is Jokic, and obviously you're not gonna care about him because he's gonna bring it every day. The only other guy who brings energy is Russ, and
And
he's
he's
a
36.
million years old. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense why energy and effort are such an issue so many of the times. Um,
And
Jamal
Christian
Murray
Brown,
has
we
really
can't.
picked
I
it
mean,
up.
Christian Brown, we can't
Christian Brown, yeah,
I,
Christian Brown plays well, but there are a lot of times where Aaron Gordon's body language this season has not been good. Michael Porter Jr.'s body language a lot of the times has not been good. The bench guys like Strawther obviously has a lot of issues coming off the bench. DeAndre Jordan had a really rough game against Boston. Zeke Naji for some reason didn't play, even though he had a stretch of being really good. The last two games that Denver has lost against Milwaukee and against Boston, Zeke Naji he barely played. And the games against the Pistons and the Pacers, he started one of them, and he came off the bench and played a lot in the other, and they win, and they win big. So they have to figure out a lot with the rotation going forward because I think specifically when it comes to Russell Westbrook, he was so good. I didn't have any complaints with him until he got hurt, but since he's come back from that injury after the All-Star break, it's been bad. It has been really bad, and they have to figure out what to do with him come playoff time because, like you said, teams just are ignoring him offensively, even when he is with Jokic, and that can't happen.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, you hit everything. that I was thinking too. Against good teams, when it comes down to it, they can't score, they can't shoot, they can't defend. And when you can't like that's the thing that's I feel like different, I guess, about this year's team than what it had been in the past is like they used to be able to lock in defensively in the fourth quarter. Like, sure, they would be ranked, like 10th among all defenses in the NBA, but in the fourth quarter, I feel like they were number one in defense, like 2 or 3 years here in the past. Um, and they don't have the personnel now to lock in. And Aaron Gordon has been horrible on defense this year after being one of the best defenders on the Nuggets throughout his tenure here. All of a sudden, all these injuries catching up to him. He's obviously not as athletic anymore. He's not dangerous in transition anymore, um, and he can't defend right now. And when your only like decent perimeter defender, I guess, is Christian Brown, who struggles to fight screens. When he comes out of the game, it's barbecue chicken for the other team. It's Julian Strawther, 4 fouls in 4 minutes. Like, it's Russell Westbrook, who's aggressive on ball defense, but falls asleep all the time off ball, and can do stupid things on the ball too. I mean, it's there's just like absolutely nobody to guard good perimeter players. Like Luca went off. You couldn't guard Giannis at all. I mean, it's kind of surprising when like the opposing star player doesn't have a good game now against the Nuggets. Um, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Like for the offense, because you can't guard anyways. Like, why not put Pickett out there for the offense, who can hit an open three, who doesn't turn the ball over? I mean, it's just like the Westbrook errors are so loud. It's like
Yeah.
Jokic finds him wide open under the basket, clutch in the game, and it just goes right through his hands. It would have been a wide open layup. It goes right through his hands, or just maybe the Nuggets are on a run, and here we go in transition on a fast break, and Westbrook just pulls up for a mid-range shot and it's an air ball. Like, Pickett doesn't make errors like that, and I don't know. I just think that looking at how bad the offense has been against these long teams, who are just daring Russ to shoot, I feel like Pickett out there would be a better option. But I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll
No,
see
I mean,
what they do.
I agree. I think Pickett. I don't know if you can cut out Westbrook's minutes entirely. I mean, because he has been so good this season. Before he got hurt, he was really really good, and these mistakes weren't happening, which is the crazy part, right? Like on Twitter, like that the Wob Worldwide Wob, he'll always tweet, "Live by Westbrook, die by Westbrook." Denver hadn't died by Westbrook the entire season. Like he had helped them survive so much. Jamal Murray was getting injured a lot. Aaron Gordon was getting injured a lot. He would sub in for both of those guys all the time, and they would look great. But then once he himself got injured, I think because of his age, like it's just hard for you to get that rhythm back and for you to come back, properly when that happens. And I think that time off. I mean, you missed almost a month. Like that time off, it hurts. Like you can't get back to who you used to be, and I don't think Denver can afford to like. I mean, like he is a Hall of Fame player. He's incredible. So you have to give him the benefit of the doubt that yeah, he's gonna get back to the level he was playing before. But I don't know if Denver has the luxury to give him that time to get back to where he was before. Was playing great. He played really good in the Celtics game in the limited minutes he had. He hit a three. He had a really really good possession defensively against Jason Tatum, um, and I mean he's been a good defender overall. I'm gonna read out some stats for you here too, which makes it really difficult for me to imagine Westbrook playing in the playoffs or at least being a positive contributor in the playoffs. When Jokic and Westbrook are on the floor, it is a good lineup. Like when Jokic and Westbrook are on the floor together, it's elite. They have a plus 14 net rating in 400 minutes. Right, they've played together almost as much as Murray and Jokic have played together, but they're really really good. When Murray and Jokic are together, it's similar. They have a plus 14 net rating. Defensive rating is a little worse, but the offensive rating is a little better. When all three of them are on the court together, it's fine. Plus 6 net rating. But when it's just Westbrook and Murray, it's bad. 250
Dude, that
minutes to minus 11 net rating. They can't score. They can't defend. When it's just Westbrook on the floor, it's horrible. They're negative 43 net rating this season when it's just
yeah.
Westbrook on the court. They cannot score to save their lives, and they can't defend to save their lives. And that happened in the Boston game. It was just Westbrook on the court, no Murray, and it was Westbrook and Porter. And I was like, what is this? Like, what like you have to attach Westbrook to Jokic almost
Yeah.
exclusively because
No, no, no.
he can't play without him.
Right. That's the thing. Westbrook can only be on the court when Jokic is on the court, and Murray's got to be off the court. Like Westbrook, because if Murray's on the court, he's presumably taking the ball up and handling the ball most of the time and running the pick and roll with Jokic and kicking it out to a shooter. Westbrook's not a shooter. Like Westbrook needs the ball in his hands. He needs to be the one running the pick and roll. That's how he at a time it seemed like he was averaging like 8 rebounds, 8 assists for a whole like month stretch just off a assist to Jokic like in the pick and roll or I mean he's still good playmaking wise to find shooters on the perimeter. So I'm thinking like, you know, Murray usually comes out at like the 4 or 5 minute mark in the first quarter, sits the rest of that quarter, but Jokic is in. So just sub in Westbrook when Murray goes out to take over those minutes, and then when Murray comes back in the second quarter, get rid of just give like I think like 15 to 20 Russell Westbrook minutes purely when Murray is getting his rest and when Jokic is on the court. Because it's rare, if ever, that like Murray and Jokic are both off the court at the same time. So like just if Westbrook can just replace those minutes when Murray's off on the bench and Jokic is out there, I think that's the ideal situation for him. I think you can play Pickett like over Strother then in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Have Pickett play the same exact role as Strother. Really, I mean, not be all shoot it every single time he gets it. I don't think he's that like caliber of a shooter, to where he can make these deep, crazy threes that Strother sometimes makes. But man, he's way better defensively than Strother is. Obviously, he's a better playmaker. Honestly, for like a wide open corner 3-point shot, I would take Pickett. Obviously, I would take Strother on like a tougher, deeper three, but a wide open corner shot seems like Pickett's more reliable. His form is perfect. I like I don't know. I feel like that can be a formula that the Nuggets try just to add more reliable shooting out there and less of Westbrook standing out there and more of Westbrook on the ball. I just don't know why. I don't think Murray and Westbrook should ever share the court together. It hasn't worked ever. It didn't work with Murray and Bones. It didn't work with Murray and Isaiah Thomas. It didn't work with any other time. There's another guy who needs the ball in his hands. When Murray's out there, it doesn't work. And why? So why are we trying it again? Like,
The only
I
time
don't
I
get.
can remember it working, only time I can remember it working was when it was a pure point. Like when it was Monte Morris, right? In the bubble in the playoffs, Murray and Morris were on the court together all the time, and it worked really, really well. That's because Monte Morris's main goal is to play make. His main goal is to pass. He's not a shoot first guy. Westbrook, even still at this age, is an aggressive driver, shoot first player, and Murray can't play with that. Murray has been so good this season when he has the ball in his hands. I think he can be an incredible off-ball player, but that's if he's with guys whose goal is getting him the ball, and if they're
Right.
forcing it to him. That's not what it is with Westbrook. Like Westbrook is gonna do what Westbrook does, which again was working very well earlier in the season, but it's not working now. I'm very okay with Pickett playing minutes. I think he should be getting minutes, especially if Strother tweaked something with his foot or so in the Boston game. He didn't play in the second half. Pickett took those minutes, which again was fine by me. I'm okay with Pickett getting those minutes. I most definitely trust him more than Strother. I think Strother has to be a big part of whatever Denver is doing in the next 2 years. Right now, I trust him way more. I think Strother is at that point where Peyton Watson was last year, right? Peyton Watson had stretches last season where he looked incredible. He looked like he was a Nuggets six man. He looked really, really good. But there are also points where it's like, dude, he's just like not playable offensively. It's the other way around for Strother. Like there's points where like he's good, he's active, he's rebounding, he's defending at a good level, he's making shots. But in the stretches like he's having right now, where he's not doing any of it, right? He's not making shots, he's not defending, he's fouling all the time. And I don't think in the playoffs is going to happen. Like Peyton Watson was an extremely situational player last season in the postseason, and I think Strother's going to have to be like that. Justin Holiday took all of his minutes essentially in the second round. I think we're going to see that in the playoffs this season with Jalen Pickett. At least I hope to see that this season with Jalen Pickett, and we'll see. But I mean, I'm excited to see. Hopefully, Peyton Watson can come back quickly because he has been excellent this season on both ends. He has been the Nuggets' best defender this season, like by far. And once he comes back, I think him and Zeke in the backcourt, in the front court together, off the bench can be a really really nice combo. The spacing is going to be kind of gross, but it's not like it's good anyway, even without him. So I think him and Zeke could be a really really nasty defensive combo. But we'll just have to see. I think Malone just has a lot to figure out with the rotations. Like that, it's kind of a good problem to have, but it's not because you have to figure it out to win. But it's good that there are options that he has
Right.
this late in the year.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it is like that's kind of the last remaining hope for me. Is that there's like options to be tinkered with that look promising, like Zeke Naji and Jalen Pickett, and let's hope Watson gives them something, especially defensively. Coming back here, I think he should play tomorrow. Um, so I mean, but I just think overall though, it's just you look at all the other teams, man, and it's just like the Cavs and the Celtics. I mean, it's just like, man, you just kind of think about like if Jokic was like on that team, how many assists he would average. It'd just be unbelievable. If he was on the
Yeah,
Cavs, bro, like, dude, that team would be unstoppable. I mean, yeah. But I just don't. It just kind of makes me mad how like you have this guy Jokic, and yet you got all these non-shooters out there. It's like, how is that possible in the year 2025? I mean, it kind of does make me miss like Justin Holiday was solid and reliable. He would make the open threes. It would be like, boom, I don't know,
yeah,
that like there's your Sam Hauser right there. But then boom, he's gone.
yeah.
And now you just got
I
nobody. Now
was
you have Strother. I don't know.
I was saying that last year. I was like, if Julian Strother could just get to what Sam Hauser is like right now, that's perfect, right? I mean, Sam Hauser is an incredibly underrated defender. Like everyone thinks because he's like a white, unathletic shooter that he's not good on defense. He's pretty solid on defense. He doesn't get like beaten that much. But if he can get to just that level, then they're going to be fine. But he has so long to go in terms of his consistency and in terms of his defense to get there. But I'm right with you. I think the shooting, like Denver's offense, you said like Russell Westbrook's mistakes are loud. Denver's offense is so quiet. Like they're what second ranked offense in the league behind Memphis, I think. But you don't feel it whatsoever because they go against these other teams with elite offenses like Boston, like Oklahoma City, like Cleveland, like LA, and it's these teams that just bomb away threes. They make so many threes, and then they can't keep up because they don't have the shooting. They'll score 115, 120 points. It's like this is a good offensive game, but the other team is going to score 130 because they can't defend a three, and the other team just has so many shooters. Like those Cleveland games that they had earlier in the season, all those were torture to watch because Denver could not keep up. What Denver scored like 140 points in regulation, and they lost by 20 because they couldn't
Yeah.
do a thing against anything Cleveland was doing. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk about someone who we haven't brought up at all yet, who theoretically should be the Nuggets' third best player. Porter, like against good teams, has been horrible this year, and we saw it against the Timberwolves in the playoff series last year. Obviously, when they're physical with him and like have long limbs and stuff, it seems like he struggles, man. It's just so weird. He had this stretch of scoring over 90 points in 3 games. Like maybe he was even over 100 points in 3 games. Um, and raining all those threes. And then he had the little injury and came back and just has been miserable since then. And I don't know, he just takes like I don't know, man. It just takes me back to the deadline where it's like I mean, Calvin Booth, saying he had to either go all in or not. Going all in my mind, is trading Michael Porter for Zach LaVine, for KD, if that was even possible, or a DeAndre Hunter or something like that. That, in my mind, is what Booth was talking about. And I know we still got a lot of this season left, but it's just like, yeah, I mean, man, you see like Zach LaVine. Like, I watched the Cavs game last night. I feel like DeAndre Hunter didn't even like anytime he put it, just goes in every single time he
Yeah.
puts up a shot. It's unbelievable, bro.
Yeah.
And then you got Porter just breaking against the Celtics, and it's just tough to watch. I really like him a lot because I still think he's very underrated in the way he cuts, and his offensive rebounding and stuff like that. Like, he gets in near the rim a lot, and typically finishes. He hasn't been finishing well these past few games, but he typically does. So I like him, but it's just like, man, I like, with the offense struggling against these long teams, could you use someone that could kind of create their own shot, or who's just more reliable or more consistent on a game to game basis? Um, I don't know, and I think it'll be something to visit in the off season, I guess. But I guess, how do you feel about Porter and what the potential trade options were at the deadline?
Yeah, I wouldn't have made anything at the deadline for Porter. I like obviously I see what Levine is doing right now in Sacramento. He's been incredible since he got there. The one trade I would have made for him, there was so many deals where it's like, oh, we'll trade him and Zeke Naji for, Cam Johnson and whoever on Brooklyn. Like that we'll do that. And I was like, that Brooklyn's never gonna do that. They don't have any assets to make like around the margin trades. The only realistic option I think was Porter for Levine. But the trade that I would have done would have been for DeAndre Hunter. I was talking about that all the time leading up to the deadline. Like, DeAndre Hunter is having such a ridiculously efficient season. He has been healthy as well, which has been the only issue that he's had so far in his career. He can't stay healthy. He's been healthy this season. And I mean, Cleveland didn't have to give up a lot to get him. I mean, they gave up
Dude,
Karis LeVert, George Niang in a couple seconds, and that was it. And they got him. And Denver just didn't have the draft capital. But I feel like if they offered Porter and something, they could have gotten Hunter and probably also Bogdanovich, um, because the salary would have had to match. But that's the only trade that I would have really made. But I mean, yeah, the consistency is still such an issue for him. I'm not worried about Jamal Murray. I mean, yeah, it was really rough watching him earlier in the season when he looked like he was out of shape, when he looked like he was always injured. He wasn't making shots, he wasn't doing anything. But now he looks like Jamal Murray of old. The fact that he had such a rough first half against Boston, but in the second half he was excellent. He had over 20 points. He was making the right plays. He was phenomenal defensively. He was getting switched on to Jaylen Brown. He's doing everything. I'm not worried about him, especially not worried about him come playoff time. I'm still incredibly worried about Porter. I don't have trust that he's gonna show up consistently. Um, I mean, you look at last season's playoffs, right? He was so good against the Lakers. Like, he averaged like 23, 24 points a game on unbelievable efficiency. But then he averaged 9 points on like 40 true shooting percentage against Minnesota. He couldn't do anything. And we've seen that time and time again. These tough defenses that come in, these long defenses, they get physical with him, and he takes himself out of the game. I think Denver has to do a better job of getting him involved earlier in these games. And I think like in the second half against Boston, like they didn't do anything to help him out. Like they were just standing in the corner. It was just Murray Jokic 2-man game whenever they were on the floor, and it was working. But you need Porter to do. You need him to get involved. And I think because of his salary, because of what he has done for the team, I don't think you could have traded him at the deadline. I don't think a move that big to your starting lineup would have been good, especially after losing KCP in the offseason. I think this is a move you make in the offseason. I think you see what happens in the playoffs. I don't think Denver's a championship team this season. I think they're gonna lose, you know, potentially in the first round, depending on the matchup, but probably second round. Um, but if you lose and it's because MPJ does not have a good season or does not have a good postseason, you can't rely on him. You have to look at trading him in the offseason. I don't know what moves that could be. Potentially Cam Johnson, because I think the Nets messed up by not selling high on him. So you could probably get him for whatever you have. Yeah, I mean, it looks like Kevin Durant's out of Phoenix. That's a trade I would 100% look into if I'm Denver. I don't know if Kevin Durant wants to come here, but he loves Jokic. If Westbrook's here, he's still friends with Westbrook. Like that, there's connections. But we'll see. But I do think he is gonna dictate a lot of Denver's championship hopes. If he has a good playoff series, they're not losing. Like you
Yeah.
can't. If Murray, Porter, and Jokic all play well in the same game, they do not lose. You cannot beat them if they're all playing well. And that's just that. That's what it's going to come down to. If he plays well, they're going to win. They're going to win a championship. But if he's going to be how he is right now, where it's very good one game, really bad the next game. I mean, the epitome of it was that Milwaukee Detroit back to back. He goes 5 of 22 one night, and then 24 hours later, he's exceptional and hits 4 threes and looks like an all star. And I don't know what
the next
to make of
game he
it.
scores 10 points.
Exactly. I know there was a stat. I don't have it on me right now, but it's like against good teams, like he's
Yeah.
bad. Oh, actually, I have a picture. Hold on, I will find it. But I have a
That's what I
picture.
was thinking of in my head. I saw this stat, but I don't know where it is. But yeah.
Let me find it. It basically was showing. Here it is. So his playoff series track record since he got injured in the 21 playoffs when he tweaked his back against Phoenix. So against Phoenix in 2021, they were a top 6 defense. He averaged 15 points on 51% true shooting. Everyone sucked that series. Denver got swept. That's not that big of a deal. And he was very clearly injured. Then against 2023, against the Wolves, top 10 defense when Denver won the championship, he was fine. 16 points, 8 rebounds, 61 true shooting. Against the Suns, the next round, they were a top 7 defense. He was a little worse, 13-7 on 58 true shooting. The Lakers, he was good, 15-9, 58% true shooting. And the Heat, he was awful, right? The Heat, the finals, he was disgusting. 9 points, 8 rebounds on 39 true shooting. Like he was disgusting.
But he made that one
then the Lakers
clutch shot.
Yeah, he had one. He had game 5. He was exceptional, which again is why it's so hard to trade him because one of the best games of his career was in the biggest game in franchise history. And then against the Lakers, right? Lakers last season, they were not a good defense. They were 17th. He averaged 23 and 8 on 70 true shooting. Like he was unbelievable. But then against the Wolves, right? Best defense in the league, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 49 true shooting. So he's a bad defender, bad playmaker. One of his 7 playoff series since he signed that max contract, he's one series where he's played good, and it was a bad defensive team. They had Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, and Austin Reeves guarding him. He can't create space. He's not allowed to do it against tougher physical defenses, and he folds. His body language is bad at points when he can't score, defend, or play make, and he's just out there for spacing, and he doesn't provide that when he isn't doing anything. So they've chosen to close plenty of playoff games without him. You don't need to know more than that to know that a max contract player doesn't you don't need to know more. Like that is all you need to know. So he has to have a good playoff series. Otherwise, I think Denver really, really seriously looks into dealing him this summer.
Yeah. Yeah, I just came across this article. I looked up Denver Nuggets online. This article by The Athletic, it says, "Is Nuggets Celtics NBA Finals as inevitable as we've hoped?" And then they say the reigning champion Celtics and previously crowned champion Nuggets are both figuring out how to obliterate parity in the NBA. It's like, really? Like we're not like the Warriors. Like as they're talking about the Nuggets Celtics finals is inevitable. I don't I don't understand that. I would
No, not at all.
it's weird. Like I feel like the I don't need like the path to a Nuggets championship. It's got to be like Houston in round 1, Memphis in round 2, and then you just got to beat LA or OKC in the conference finals.
I mean,
Like
LA's leapfrogged them now. LA's a 2 seed, so you're gonna have to
yeah, I
play
know.
them in the second round.
I know, but
I
I'm
think
just saying,
Denver.
like, that's the if it. That, I feel like
Yeah,
that's the only way if it has to shake out like that.
yeah. You have to avoid the Lakers or the Thunder until the conference finals. Otherwise, they're not winning. I will admit that I was not confident that the Lakers would be good immediately, but they look incredible. That Luka trade still doesn't feel
But
real. Dallas is.
yeah, the only thing about LA is like I feel like teams sometimes like peak too early, and then teams figure out it towards the back, later end of the season to kind of figure them out. And obviously, like we've never seen anything really like with these two dynamic playmakers and big bodies like Luka and LeBron. I don't even know when we've like ever even seen that. Um, I think it's really hard for teams right now, but they got some deficiencies too. No real big men. The
Yeah.
shooting is not, great. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're
And I
peaking
honestly,
right now, but
I
we'll
do
see.
I do think Denver still matches up good against them. Obviously, that saying that after the performance they had against them, 2 weeks ago is funny, but I do think Denver matches up well because they don't have it big. And I think when it comes down to a playoff series, they're gonna figure out a way to get Jokic the ball.
Right,
Like the
right.
issue was like Jokic he was like 2 for 7 or whatever. They couldn't get him the ball. It's not that he wasn't shooting or they were, doing a really good job of like crowding him or doubling him. They couldn't give him the ball, and they're forcing other people to make plays. Jamal Murray had a good game, but that was another one where Porter couldn't do anything. Brown had a, was fine, but Gordon was fine, but no one else could do anything. Like Porter couldn't do anything. Westbrook was really bad that game. Like it just Strother obviously had the worst game of his life. Um, so yeah, like I do think that it is there's a good matchup there for Denver if it really comes down to it, and I think they have the capabilities to guard one of Luka or LeBron. It'll be tough. Obviously, Gordon has to be on LeBron. You have to have Christian Brown on Luka. So who knows? Who knows what will happen? But I think they still do match up well.
Yeah,
That's the thing, right? Denver still has the best player in any playoff series that they play in, right? Like, and I think it's by far. I think it's by far. They have the best player in every single playoff series. And when that is the case, you're gonna win most of the time. It just comes down to will Michael Porter Jr. show up? Because they're gonna have the best player. They probably won't have the next two best players, right? That's the thing. No matter who they play, they're probably not gonna have the next two best players because Jamal Murray, they don't have an all-star. And when it comes like in the second round, they're gonna play teams that have two all-stars. But if Michael Porter Jr. can play like the fifth best player in the series, they're gonna win. If he plays like the ninth best player in the series, they're gonna lose.
right.
So it's so weird to judge this team when you know how good Jokic is in the playoffs, you know how good Murray is in the playoffs, you know what they can do. They've won a championship, they've made deep runs before. They were one bad stretch away from making the conference finals again last season, and that's what happened. So I don't know. I really don't know what to think of them when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either. Like even a Timberwolves series would be scary. A Warriors series would be scary
Yeah,
in the first round. Um, yeah, I feel like it'll be tough, but I mean, you never know. Like Porter could just go off. I like that's the thing. He could just have an insane series and they win it in like five. I don't know, but it's just overall like looking at the team that won the championship and then last season's team. I guess it's just the bench. I feel like is just not experienced
yeah,
enough, or I mean, it's just not enough. There's just not enough on the team. I don't think. Um, Overall, like depth
yeah,
wise, not enough firepower. Obviously, offensively, like you don't have a guy like Peyton Pritchard who just goes for like 25 randomly, or I just keep going back to the Celtics, or even Sam Hauser will put in like four threes. Like Strother can do that sometimes, but like that's one guy. Like other teams have multiple guys that can just obviously look at OKC. They got Wiggins can go off, Joe can go off, you know, Wallace can go off. They just have a ton of firepower that, you kind of bank on at least one of those guys to have a good game. The Nuggets, you're banking on Strother to have a good game, and that's it off the bench. Like
yeah.
it's just not enough options, not enough defensive versatility, not enough rebounding. It's just not enough, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. And I mean, it really sucks. 'Cause I think this is what, like, obviously, I don't think the front office and the coaching staff, everyone, they always envision that they can win a championship, right? But I don't. I think this is exactly what Calvin Booth, not that what he wanted, but this is what he thought was going to happen. I think they won a championship, and he knew, like, listen, it's going to be hard for us to repeat again or build like a legit championship contender immediately after that. So he's like, we're going to try and develop. I think this is exactly what he expected, which is bad. Like, it
This
should
is
not have
like,
been that way.
I mean, this is kind of like what I mean, I don't know because the Warriors, I was gonna say it's kind of like the Warriors where they like just started like, okay, let's get Kuminga and Jordan Poole, and James Wiseman. Let's try to develop them. Meanwhile, we still got Curry and Draymond and Clay, but they did end up winning a championship with those dudes. But I mean, we don't have a Jordan Poole though. Like, I don't know.
Brother
Um,
has to be Jordan Poole. Like
I
that's
know. I
that's what
guess.
it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. It
But
is really, really hard. It is really, really
yeah.
hard to designate. You mentioned OKC, and I want to touch on that before we get out. OKC, we obviously know the amount of picks that they have, which is very funny. And I discovered a nugget yesterday when I was looking at trades Denver could make, and I was like, why doesn't Denver have their 2029 first round pick? Where did that go? Of course, it went to OKC because every pick anyone has goes to OKC. But as I was looking at it, I was like, there's no way this is true. OKC has a pick swap in 2028. Just guess who that pick swap is with.
Us. No, no, no,
Dallas.
no, no. Oh,
And we obviously know the Luca trade. They were gonna be good after the Luca trade. Like they weren't gonna be a bad team, right? They were gonna be fine. With Anthony Davis out indefinitely, and now with the news today that Kyrie Irving has torn his ACL and is probably going to be out most of, if not all of next season as well, they're going to stink for a while. Kyrie Irving has a player option this season as well. Like that is like he has a player
dude.
option. He can opt out, or he might accept it because who knows? But he'll be an unrestricted free agent after the 2026 season. Um, and yeah, like Dallas is screwed. And when they are bad and when they need to have a good pick, they're not going to have it because OKC is going to take it. And it's just like, oh my god, like that. It's just brutal. Dallas, I feel so bad for Mavericks fans because they didn't do anything. They did not done. They're a good fan base. Like they have not done anything to deserve what that front office and ownership group have done to them.
Dude, that like watching that Lakers Nuggets game like made me want to go to a Dallas game and protest or like go to Dallas and protest, bro, because like it's just I still can't believe it. I don't know if I'll ever really like understand it. I feel like it's already like the worst trade like in NBA history maybe. There's no way this Dallas team wins a championship here in the next couple years with Anthony Davis. Like dude, I was looking so forward to when LeBron retired and it had to be like 33-year-old Anthony Davis leading the Lakers with no real like young talent. I was looking so forward to that and then boom, like just out of nowhere, they're just gifted this like LeBron, literally another LeBron damn near at 25 years old. It's like, why? What? I don't know, man. And I
Really makes no sense.
like, I feel bad for Anthony Davis, but I also kind of like, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that I like to see. Like him getting injured in the first game was just like, see, like, why'd you do it? It's just kind of like, boom, it proves it right immediately that it was a horrible trade. So it's not like I like seeing the injury, but I like that Nico Harrison knew in his mind, like, ah, fuck, you know. So I don't know. And now you got
My
Kyrie. Yeah,
my conspiracy with this, right? I think like the obvious one is that Nico Harrison is still really good friends with Rob Pelinka, and he got this job and always knowingly was going to trade Luka no matter what, and that they was going to go to the Lakers, and that he's just been working as like a double agent. Which the way that this has gone, I don't think it's that insane to suggest that. Like I'm going to be so honest, I don't think it's ridiculous to suggest that this is like a collusion trade because it doesn't make any sense. The more you think about it, the less it makes sense, actually. But my like fun conspiracy theory that I saw is hilarious. Um, Once Mark Cuban sold his ownership share and this other group came in, the Dumonts, they paid off Nico Harrison because they don't like Dallas. They don't like the city of Dallas for some reason. I don't know what it is. I'm still working on that theory. But
well,
they paid
yeah,
off
they don't. They want to relocate or whatever.
exactly. They paid off Nico Harrison. They're like, ruin this team. We're gonna ruin the team and we're going to suck for however long it takes. We're going to lose fan interest. And the second the fan interest dies, and the second the NBA is ready for expansion and relocation, we're going to move this team and go to Vegas. That's my idea. of it.
And LeBron's gonna be the
Because
owner. Oh my God, LeBron's gonna be the owner with Luca being his like player. Wow.
yeah, like I think that's the only way that's my like fun conspiracy theory where it's like the only way you're gonna take a team out of a top 5 market is if the fans literally do not care at all if you leave. And I feel like it's a direction we're headed in. Season ticket prices have now jumped 8% for the Mavericks, which is hilarious work to do that after you just traded away your franchise icon. And like the day they announced that, then your other star player who's been averaging the most minutes in the league over the last month tears his ACL. Uh, like it is legitimately like the worst stretch of luck that a fan base has had
Dude,
over a
like
month stretch.
yeah, I mean, it was pretty bad for us. It was with Murray's injury and Porter's injury back to back like that during the middle of their primes during like what I feel like were like the best like supporting cast around Jokic that they've had. But it but at least we had Jokic. Like this would be like if we traded Jokic to the Lakers. Like dude, I'm just
Yeah,
imagine him in a Lakers jersey and like bro. And
I can't even.
imagine we did that like in 2022. Like, ah man, the Nuggets just lost to Phoenix. They just lost to Golden State. They can't. Jokic is just not good enough on defense to win any playoff series. We got to trade him to LA, and then boom, we don't have a championship. Like that's exactly what just happened with the Mavericks.
And
And now
you don't talk to anyone else. You don't get draft compensation. You
I
trade
know
him. It's
that's
legitimately like it's the exact trade that they did. But it's substitute Luca for Jokic. Like I would genuinely stop watching basketball. Like I
dude.
would not care about the sport anymore.
That's the thing that makes no sense is they didn't get any picks. I don't think they have a like a first round pick or whatever
And they got one.
until
They got like one for I think.
or yeah,
But
but
I mean, it's not gonna be good.
outside of the one that they got, they're not picking in the first round until like 2030 or something. They have like they don't have any of their other first round picks. It's
No,
like
no.
how do you see Mikal Bridges get traded for 5 first round picks or whatever, what four maybe? Um and you get like one and an injury prone 31-year-old, 32-year-old. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean, it was the worst trade in NBA history when I saw it, but it's just gonna age worse and worse and worse as the season goes on, and for 100% as Luka's career goes on. I mean, we're gonna. I don't even know if there's like a comparable trade to this. Like I really like. I'm trying to think in baseball because in baseball there's so much player movement with like elite players. Like
Yeah.
I don't know who like the Mookie Betts trade is the one that I guess I come back to where it's like, you win a World Series, you have one iffy
Right.
season afterwards, and then you trade him immediately for no reason. That's like the one trade where I can think of. But Mookie Betts is not the level. I mean, Mookie Betts is incredible. He's a generational talent, and he should be a Hall of Famer. But he's not. He's not. I still don't think he's at the level that Luka was when he got traded. Like I don't know any other comparison to this deal. Like I don't know if there ever will be a comparison to this deal because it doesn't make any sense. It really does not make any sense. I don't know. Um, we'll see. I have one tweet that I'm gonna read off that every time I read it, it is so funny. It's it starts off funny, but just stay with it on it. Is a key element of fascism is making it appear that the entire world is organized against your group when in fact you are in the most advantageous and powerful position in society. The Los Angeles Lakers are a textbook example of this
Yeah.
phenomenon. Like,
Yeah.
they will consistently be gifted golden opportunity after golden opportunity. They will fall backwards into success. They'll do everything wrong, and they will still turn out perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't. LeBron goes there after the worst stretch in franchise history, essentially. They get LeBron
I know.
James.
I know.
What? And then after that, they win a championship. They do everything wrong. They trade away everything to get Russell Westbrook. It doesn't work. They hire the worst coach possible in Darvin Ham. It doesn't work. They do everything to get rid of Russell Westbrook, and it kind of works. They lose in the first round. They have two aging superstars, and then they get Luka Doncic because the GM of the other team is an idiot. Like, what are we doing here, man? What are we doing? I It consistently happens. It always happens, no matter what.
Yep.
And in 12 years, when Luka's old and wants to go back and start smoking hookah and drinking beer back in Slovenia, they're gonna get Cooper flag or something. I don't know. Just
No,
out of
literally.
nowhere. I
Uh,
don't get it.
it just
I
makes
get
me
it.
so mad. I just can't. Like my only hope, the only hope is that Luka just leaves for the Nuggets in this summer. Like that's what needs to happen, and then I'll be happy. But man, if Luka's just on the Lakers for like the next 10 years, man, I can't believe it.
And they gained cap space by doing this too, because now Luka's ineligible for the $300 million
Yeah,
extension
you're
because
right.
he's not with the original team. So they traded away a fat deal. I'm pretty sure Anthony Davis was making more than Luka, and just in short term money. So they get better, and they gain cap space. So now they can sign whoever the hell they want in free agency, and they're going to be
And they're close. They're like
just
all they need is a big man, but they've done like the right moves around the edges. Obviously, Reeves has been terrific this year, but like DFS, like that has been a great pickup, dude. And that
yep,
should have been
yep.
he's one of those should have been Nuggets for like the past 3 years. DFS is like a potential Nugget legend, but of course he's on the Lakers.
Yeah.
Um, and then, they just got I mean, Vanderbilt is a demon on defense and on the glass. I mean, even Jackson Hayes, like in his role,
He's been
I mean,
good.
Luca
Yeah,
just makes those roll alley-oop big men very good. And
yeah,
he's been good. So, I mean,
yeah.
they have the right pieces around the edges mostly.
And we'll see. I mean, the Lakers are going to play the Nuggets coming up here in about a week and a half. They play them next Friday. Denver has a huge stretch coming up next week. This week they play Sacramento and then someone else to close it out. But then next week Sunday is OKC, Monday is OKC, Wednesday is Minnesota, and then Friday is the Lakers. Like next week is the biggest stretch of the season to see like, are these guys legit? Like, what are we gonna do? If they split the OKC games, both of those are on the road, by the way, which is gonna suck. They split those OKC games.
And back to
Oh,
back.
sorry, what did you say? I didn't hear what you said.
And they're back to back.
Yeah, it's a back to back. One of them again, another early road game. It's an 11 a.m. tip, and then uh, uh obviously another road game the next day, Monday in OKC, and then it's 2 home. If they can go 3-1 in that stretch, I will be all in again. But if they go 2-1 or 1-3, 2-2 or 1-3, I'm gonna be like, ooh.
Yeah, two and two I would take. I would be expecting 1 and 3, but 2 and 2
It
would
just
be
depends what the two. It depends what the two wins
yeah.
are. It really does depend what the two wins are. But yeah. Okay, I gotta head out. I gotta start getting ready for work.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but it's a good session. I will start waking up earlier. We will be doing these more often.
All
More
right,
often. I'll help
sounds
my
good.
sleep schedule out to do these. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see what happens with Nuggets. We'll try and do one next week. I'm sure next week I'm off Thursday, Friday. So I don't know what obviously you were saying your schedule's kind of weird. So
Uh,
we'll
yeah,
see.
I don't know what it is. But I'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We will most definitely be doing more going forward. So thank y'all for watching. See y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.